in that general area, yes.
Okay. Okay, so we are going to do a panel on marketing of wine. These ladies all market quite a bit of wine, and we had a great discussion. I'm gonna hit on specific questions, and then at the end, there'll be time for you guys to ask questions. But hopefully we'll cover, a lot of the stuff as we go. So, my first question is, when you started, how did you build your customer base? So maybe if you guys kind of wanna, and I'll hand you the microphone, whoever wants to go first. Any thoughts?
I can.
Okay.
So at first I kind of went to all my friends and none of them actually wanted the wine. They thought it was too expensive. Yeah. So my first tasting was a complete blow. Like literally I went through 12 bottles of wine with like 6 friends and we just all drank too much. And I was like, I need a system because we're gonna drink a whole lot of wine and not make any money. So I literally just said, okay, if you guys aren't gonna buy the wine, can you just refer me to people? So the referrals from friends is kind of how I built my business. And at first, I didn't really have a system when I first started. I didn't know how to do it. Obviously, I wanted to drink the wine, but the first way I did it was getting them to refer me to people, and then I was doing like 3 to 5 tastings a week. I know that's another question.
Oh, wow.
I know, just to like, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, that's kind of how it started for me.
Well, I did start with my friends too, and they liked it.
I'm glad.
I have a handful of people who complain about the price, but not very many. So Danielle and I are probably telling you guys what you already know, but I went to my college friends who don't even live in the same city. I knew they would support me, went to my close friends in town, people who I knew would just do it to support me, and then same thing, they would say, oh my gosh, my sister lives in Nashville, she would love this, can you send the link to her? And then it just kind of snowballs, or trickles.
I agree with that. None of my good friends are my customers at all. So when I got out into that cold market, it helped. I just started hosting tastings and finding people in the beginning, like more warm market neighbors, because my close friends just never and still don't buy. It's weird. And then I did farmers markets, and I feel like that was such a like-minded patron and shopper. They were already there for organic food, and so it was just informational booth, and I still draw from that well, and that was 2 years ago, pre-COVID.
How would you do that? Did you just show up?
Yeah, Cricket and I would share the time. Sometimes other reps would come in, but we would have info cards out, and we would have empty wine bottles with flowers in them. We'd get flowers from the market, and so they just drew a crowd in. It was a pretty display. And then I'd just say, are you a wine drinker? And they'd stop and be like, yeah, what's going on here? And I'd say, well, I just want to tell you about this wine we have, and if you'd like to, you can get on my email list for a tasting. So then we started hosting tastings in neutral locations, restaurant patios, where we could invite the randos in, because sometimes someone doesn't want to host, they want to attend, and so they don't want to attend in someone's home. So finding that neutral location where you could have 1 or 2 people and from here and there and they don't know each other worked. So
how often do you, like, if you're doing these farmers markets, because we've discussed this as a team, do you find them to be financially beneficial, because you do have to pay for it, and what's your return on investment? Like, how many of those people actually do sign up for a tasting? Because I'm just curious, because I think all of us want to learn from
Cricket
what's
paid for
worked.
the insurance, so I don't know how much that was, a couple hundred or something. And then it's 40 every week, and it's 8 to noon, so you can give everybody on your team locally an hour slot, and in a couple hours you might get 10 leads. And then from those 10 leads, you might get a tasting or 2. Just to give you kind of the breakdown.
That's good.
That's really good.
That's good.
That's a good
Well, you have your
I mean, 10's a max. I mean, 5 is a slow day. But these are people that they're quality. You've been talking with them, and then to get them to write their stuff down, because there's plenty of other people that are like, okay, cool, I'll come by another time.
Yeah, okay. Nice, thank you.
Yeah.
So I started the same way. My first tasting, actually Trish zoomed in to my first tasting because we were across the country from each other, and that was really helpful to get. I was just so nervous. I was like, what's her name, Sarah? Like, I couldn't remember anything. So she was, and then I asked, that was all my close friends and family. I asked them individually to their face, would you please host a tasting for me? So I had 12 people there. That got me 12 tastings. But I could do that because that was my close friends and family. And I said, just do this, and then it grew from there. My other source of customers at this point, because I play competitive tennis and competitive golf, are athletes. So people I'm playing golf with, people I'm playing tennis with.
Well, and they're healthy.
Yeah, exactly. And then, so I'm a huge fan of the cams, because you can bring them afterwards. Like, oh, hey, you want to switch, or you want to try this? And everything else. So I believe that you need to work with what you know first, and I know golf courses and tennis courts, so that's where I go. And then I can speak, and people have seen me, and you can gain that trust, and can't beat them too badly, because then they definitely won't buy, but you know.
Right, it's delicate balance.
Exactly, exactly.
For me, my approach was just a little bit different. I went more with businesses when I started, and I definitely coached my team that way. So working with like local banks, title companies, law firms. So I was, and it wasn't like my plan. It just happened that way. When I sent out that friends and family email, the first person to respond was a lady from a local bank. She's like, I want to host a tasting tomorrow, right? So that kind of clued my brain into this is a different approach, and so I went that way. My good friends do not buy from me at all, and it still amazes me to go to their houses and they want to serve me their wine.
Yeah, I know better. I know better.
Yeah, they know that.
Stephanie, yeah, they don't do it.
Oh, they'll try, but I'm like, no. Yes, question?
How did you approach the businesses? Did you just walk in?
No, so how I approach businesses is if I know someone in a business, I'll ask them like, who handles your customer relationships, right? And then I would call that person and just explain to them that I can do a tasting with them where they can either build better relationship with their customers or expand their network, right? And so for a business, it's such a cheap event, and they want time in front of their customers. Or like this lady who does the bank one, we do a tasting every quarter, and the last time she invited one of her customers who owns a business in Austin, and she asked that lady to bring in the other 4 or 5 guests. That one was nice and small, but they have a bar in their bank, right? So that was a prime. Yeah, I do bank there now. I mean, they have a bar in their bank. And they have Scott and Cellar wine in their bar in their bank. So. Benchmark Bank. It's like a local bank, right? So not a bigger bank.
I'm moving to Austin.
What about businesses where you didn't have the contact there? Did you go like cold into?
No, I didn't walk in. I would just probably call the business and ask them the same question: who handles your customer relationship? Any kind of events that you guys do? And then you just have to find the right person within the business to talk to.
Right.
Yeah.
Marley, how are you getting orders? Like, who's paying for what in those kind of tastings?
Well, so they would know. I mean, I let the business know I will be, like, this is how I expand my business. So your guests will have the opportunity to purchase wine. And oftentimes I will suggest that they buy a bottle or for everybody so that when they leave, they can take a bottle and then they can put like a, their business card on it with a ribbon or whatever so that they have a party favor. If a business doesn't want me to be selling, then I would tell them that they just need to buy all the wine and they can have their event. But otherwise, I'm, because I don't want to, that's not worth my time.
So you're still bringing the initial one?
I'm bringing 4 to 5 bottles. If they want more, then they buy it. And I'm just doing a tasting, just a full-on tasting. Yeah.
Do they provide some snacks or something?
They provide the food.
Well, and we chose this group, sorry to interrupt, but we chose this group obviously because they all have done lifetime personal sales of 100,000 plus. Marley just hit 320,000. Lifetime personal.
I don't look at it.
326. I just looked at it.
Okay.
What is it? Yeah.
I'm like, I don't look at it.
320,000.
Wow.
Yes.
Sweet.
So, but all of them have a different approach, which is what we really identified and liked about it. Because with one of these, you will identify yourself, you know?
And as we stand up here, I don't know that you guys need all this, but your teams do. And so I think that's the great thing, the takeaways here. No, we want you guys adding to your team and them doing this. Okay, second question. I love this question. What are your daily or weekly activities to produce income? All right, I'm gonna go with Brooke first.
I really didn't want to be first.
Sorry.
I feel like my life is a hot mess right now, so I wish I could say I had daily activities, but I'm struggling to even find that hour sometimes in a day. So sometimes it's like 4 hours on a Saturday that I just cram things. But what I find efficient, like for me, is reviewing my customer list and just kind of finding those people in that sweet spot of not too far gone. They tend to reorder, they're in that perfect time to check in and do the right thing guaranteed. So getting those follow-up orders, and I always make bundle graphics. So so that's kind of my big IPA that I do outside of tastings. Lifeblood is in tastings, right? Get those orders in the tastings, get more tastings. But when I don't have tastings, it's reaching out to a customer. Did you like your order? Was anything not good? I would love to get you a credit. And then if they're like even meh on one, like let's get you a credit. And then I make a graphic on Canva of, Alex's bold reds for fall, and I put them together, and then I show what it is with the credit, and then I shoot it over and I say yes or no, and then make it really easy. So I learned you never ask a customer, you let me know. I always just say, I'm gonna send you 2 or 3 options, send me feedback, I'll be putting orders in at this time, and let me know if you want A, B, or C, right? Just like no open-ended, like they just know what they're gonna do. They're either gonna say yes or no, or give me feedback.
I have a question about the graphic. Do you go like through your customer list and see like what they typically order, and then you make a graphic specific to that customer and send it to them so that they have like a visual? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, if I don't know their palette really well because they're just like Scout Circle ones or who knows, then I just do like these are just fan favorites.
Okay.
Or like BBA, like the budget bundle, like I'll throw some of those good price deals together, and those are universal. But yes, I know certain people and what they like. These people only want jammy bold reds,
Yeah.
so it is catered.
No, sorry, she was just asking. Okay, Virginia, you wanna?
Oh, sure. So I think my approach to this on a weekly or daily basis, I'm a little bit like Brooke too. I have to confess, I'm not doing anything on a daily basis. Specifically, I mean, there are weeks that I might do something on, every day, but it's more weekly, or even maybe every 10 days, I might set aside a couple of hours. What works best for me is I text. I wish I were as tech savvy as Brooke. I have to confess that my personal IT is in the back of the room, Stephanie Klein, and we are neighbors. And so when my dear husband, who is usually very helpful, but when he's not around, Stephanie is extremely helpful. So I'm embarrassed to tell you that I should be better in 2021, but I don't even like technology very much, so I'm not good with any of these graphics. But I'm fast with my thumbs on the phone. So what I have found works for me, and I'm trying to remember our other questions so I don't overlap, but as Trish knows, I'm also embarrassed to admit that I still like paper. I'm all about the environment, don't get me wrong, but I have an old-fashioned 3-ring binder in my little home office. And so every time I enter a customer into the system, into the electronic system of Scout and Cellar, I also just go into Word on my computer. And, like an old-timey, 1992 nerd, when the word processor came out, I don't bother with Excel. I'm sure you're laughing at me, but I do a Word document for every customer. And I just do name, I'm already on the computer, right? Because I'm entering them into the Scout and Cellar system. So I just take another 30 seconds to a minute and go into Word, do a blank document, name, address, where they're used to shipping, whether it's FedEx or home or what have you. But intentionally I put, this is what they like. This is what they typically order, or at least for that first order. And then I get my 3-ring hole puncher, like I'm back in 1992, and I hole punch it and I put it into my binder. which is pretty thick right about now, luckily. So then what happens next time they order, I open the book and I check whether or not they ordered the same thing, if they ordered something different, and I just put a little chicken scratch note on there with the date. Because once again, I don't like the computer. Stephanie and I live in a neighborhood, unfortunately, with beautiful 100-year-old trees. We lose our power all the time. And then I'm stuck with my little phone. So it's so much easier when I can just go to my nerdy, old-fashioned 3-ring binder. But so then what happens when, like Brooke, I decide to take, even just 20 minutes on a Saturday or a Sunday or at cocktail hour during the week, or maybe 2 hours. I get my little thumbs going on the phone, I flip through that book, and I'm like, oh yeah, the Dove Hunt Dog Salve Blanc is 20% off this week. Susie and Betty and Elizabeth, they all love that. And then I just craft a quasi-generic text, but usually copy and paste and then personalize it at the beginning. I receive so many sales from text. Y'all, I don't receive squat from emails. Broadcast messages, I try to do those about once a month or when we have a sale or something, new release wine, because I've also found that my customers don't pay any attention to the Scout and Cellar emails they receive. But boy, they are on that damn phone. And so when my text comes through, they're like, oh, Virginia, I'm so glad, I've been meaning to write. I hadn't ordered in a month, and yes, I need this and this, and I'd love some of that Dove Hunt that's on sale. And boom, there it goes. But I'm not fancy. Maybe Brooke can give me some tech lessons.
No, it's all in text
to do graphic,
yeah.
But I'm old-fashioned with my paper and my binder and the text, and it works. It works like a charm. So those are my tricks.
So yeah, I kind of have the same thing with timing. I have 2 little ones at home, so yeah, it's hard to be consistent every day. But I do have a basic, I use Dough. If you don't have a good CRM, it's the first thing you need. Dough is really, really good, DOUGH. I've been using it since it came out and I love it. I should do like a whole class on that because I'm obsessed with it. So I talked to Dough is a CRM, customer relationship management system. They have an app, and then they also have the website online too. So I talk to 2 consultants every day. So if let's say I didn't do anything Monday through Friday, Saturday I have to catch up. So I talk to 5 potentials a day, 5 customers a day, and then 2 consultants a day. So on Saturday, if I didn't do it all week, then I literally have all of that built up for the week to catch up with. And that just kind of like keeps a baseline for me. CRM is so important, you guys. I mean, the follow-up system, and I do text. Text is the only thing that works for me as well. Emails have not worked at all for me either. But, and then use the Vine app. So I love the Vine app. I always, like, all of the pictures and everything, I just copy and paste that, and I love that you can see when they look at it, and they look at it like 10 times, you're like, oh, they're really interested. So use the Vine app too. I love it. I think there's a new one coming out too, right? Yeah. So that's kind of, my whole approach is keeping it simple. Just keep it as simple as possible so that people want to sell it with you, right? That's my whole approach.
Okay, nope. I keep it really simple. I try to talk to 1 person a day. Okay. Just about the wine. So if it's someone I'm playing golf with, I'll just say, we'll just like have a conversation down the second fairway. And then stop. Like, no one wants to hear about it for 18 holes, I can tell you that much. But in terms of, I've really sort of gotten away from posting on social media because I was doing the post and pray approach, and it just doesn't work for me. That's not my audience. And I found that my close friends are very sensitive to sort of the overwashing of my feed like that. They're really just on for my idiot dogs and my cute kids. So I just keep it even more. I just make sure that I talk to 1 person a day. So when I was on the flight here, I talked to the man next to me in my seat and got a tasting of it.
I love it.
So
I didn't think
just really simple, just really simple. Just talk to 1. Yeah, people have to know. The ladies in the boutique that I bought this snazzy outfit from, they bought a half a case while I was there because I started the whole thing. Hey, I'm going to a work conference. Oh, what do you do for work? I sell wine. What? And then I'm like, hold on, let's pick out my outfit first because we're gonna get distracted, and then we'll talk about wine. And then we did that, and then but that was my thing. I mean, that Tuesday, I was like, all right, check mark. So I talked to a customer, I'll try to talk to a consultant, like, but God bless you, you work really hard. But one,
It's only like 5
one
hours
person.
But it's still like only 5 hours a week, if you really think of
Yeah.
that, like,
Right,
it's
right.
really
When you don't
not
have
that much work.
Yeah. I do have an Excel spreadsheet though.
Oh, that's
But
good.
then I can search by, I really only use it as I'm sorry, Virginia. But I
No,
like it because you put the different lines in and then you can sort by that, so same thing, like then I can see who orders the Duck Hunt Dog. But the dough was a little confusing for me.
It was
I can help
confusing
you.
for me too.
I can help you.
All right.
I'm like Danielle's help. Yeah.
Alright.
I think you should- I should sell
So
it.
I'm like Danielle, I use Doe also, I like how it pulls in all of our customer information, and I can do like a one-word search on just Savignon, and it pulls up anybody that's bought that, so that, I do a lot with that. Especially like if a wine goes on sale, then I can easily text, but I only text.
So when you download that app, do you have to manually transfer all of your customers or?
No, it'll pull in all your customer data.
No way.
All from the
Now-
back office and then through Facebook too.
Yeah, all from the back office. You can pull in Facebook or Instagram. That overwhelmed me, so I just have my consultants and customers in there.
I think that on the
And
Crazy Cellar, there is a training that was recorded on how that, remember when we took that training on dough?
When it first launched.
I think they recorded it, and I think it's on the back
Yeah, I
office.
think it'd be good though to have someone who's
You
kind
can
of,
search
yeah.
it.
You should do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Well, and
Danielle-
another
It's
really
like
good
3
thing too
steps.
is
Yeah.
Doe has
Yeah.
videos on everything. Like everything you just asked, it's like this little guy packs up. He's like, this is how you do it. It's so easy.
Yeah.
It's like, it's really, any question you have, there's a video
But
for
what
it.
I'm gonna tell you guys is,
After AMP,
Yeah.
a couple years ago.
what I would say is if you wanna start using Doe, pay for it monthly, because the Vine Pro app is probably gonna replace a lot of what we do with Doe.
Okay.
We had a call with them, and we told them, you need to be pulling in our customer data, so they're trying to get that into the Vine Pro, so that it could do a lot more for us. But I wouldn't say wait, like, I think it's especially worthwhile in this holiday season to have the Doe CRM, because you can, it just tells me who I need to check in with.
Yes.
Especially with the
And,
daily.
and those are the people I'm texting. Yes, Jill?
When you are
potential side
texting, are you manually texting or are you using like hit 'em up or?
No, so with Doe, you can create a script. So if I wanna send like just a, hey, how's your, October going? Like, you just create your script, and then you can put it in for everybody kind of all at once.
You can't make like pockets of groups, like,
Mm,
cause in hit 'em up, I have a bunch of different groups that I text through hit 'em up.
like groups of customers or potentials or like
All
what?
kinds of things. So hit 'em up is an app, that's a texting app. You have to pay for it, but you can make groups from your contacts, so you do have to put all your customers in your contacts in your phone, is the only, like, that was a little time consuming. But like, I use a lot with consultants, cause I have like my level 1 consultants, or my consultants that have a downline, or my consultants that don't have a downline, that I'm gonna send a little bit different message to. And then I have my circle customers, I have my not really circle, circle but not really circle customers. So then you can make a text and it will personalize it to them. It'll say, hey Amanda, blah, 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 blah. And you can add graphics and all kinds of stuff. And it just text everybody. Like
Yeah.
So it looks like a personal text.
It looks like a personal text, and it's not a group
Okay.
text. It's
So
not a group text.
Doe does not have that capability, but the Vine Pro app does.
Yeah.
So I think just we need to all be very aware if they do make these other changes, that they had a call with the EDs and MDs and we reviewed, like we all are using the Vine Pro app right now, but some of the stuff that we needed, it didn't have, and so we're like, we need these things. If you really want us to pay for it, was pretty much what we were saying.
Yeah, it's gotta pull in all that.
It's gotta pull in all that data. Okay, this one's gonna be real quick, cause I don't wanna run out of time. How many tastings do you do a month?
At least one.
Yeah.
I would do probably 4 a month pre-COVID.
That's good.
At least one, like Virginia said, but I try to do 3 to 4, one every weekend.
Yeah, same. I would say absolutely at least one a month. Pre-COVID, anywhere from maybe 4 to 6.
Yeah.
And now probably closer to 4.
2 to 4, and then holidays could be like in the teens.
Okay, what do you do if you don't have a tasting book for the month?
You host your own.
Yes.
There you go. That was our unanimous
Yeah.
answer. If you don't have
All
a
the
tasting
time.
book, you host your
I host
own.
my own all the time.
Mhm.
And they don't have to be big.
They don't have to be big. Holly has a question.
How long do you like keep your tastings, like from start to finish? How long are you there for?
What is your time period of work, I guess?
Yeah.
Boy, that depends.
Oh no, mine doesn't depend, so I am very strict.
This is,
Yes,
girl, the
it's so
microphone. Yep,
important.
tell us.
In my opinion, we have to keep it so simple when it comes to this. Like, it's so easy to go in and just go through all the wine and then nobody orders. You have to have a start, a middle, and a finish. If you haven't seen my video, watch it, part of a tasting. It's so important to just go in with intention. So I always have it, I literally, and I never do it around a meal hour. That's like my number one boundary. So if they want me to come at meal hour, I go, I'll come an hour before, we will taste the wine, and then I'll leave so that you guys can eat. So I normally do it between 2 and 4, Saturday, Sunday, always outside of the meal hour. So they just have to have a few snacks, it's not overwhelming to host. And then it's always an hour. And then I'm like, okay, have my laptop, let's take the orders, all right, I'm out. Like, it's just so important to have that boundary, in my opinion.
Clearly, I'm not very good with boundaries. I'm not very good with the computer. I'm not very good with lunch.
Long time to learn. Yeah.
But I can market wine. So I'm not that strict, y'all. I'm sorry. I would say that typically, Holly, I do about an hour and a half. Like that is my normal, is an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. So like a 5:30 to 7 is, I don't know, maybe we eat late where I'm from. We don't eat before 7, maybe not even before 8. So 5 to 7, because a lot of people are working.
Yeah.
And a lot of my girlfriends or friends of friends are working, but they can maybe get somewhere by 5:30 or 6. But then they have kids, they want to get home for dinner. So it kind of solves itself. Weekends are tough because I don't know how y'all are, but everybody's traveling for soccer, lacrosse, or even, 6-year-olds in our town are playing on these competitive soccer teams. So you try to get them, I would never be able to get anybody from 2 to 4 on a Saturday.
Yeah. And
I
that's the
love
only
that
time
that works for
me,
you.
Yeah.
So I think you gotta just feel out your customer base for that particular tasting.
Yeah.
And then another reason I'm not always quite as strict is because like when I'm hosting at home for friends who are, maybe I'm the only one here who has friends who purchase from me, but friends who are my customers and something new has been released, they wanna taste it. And they're good enough customers that I'm willing to say, okay, y'all pop over to my patio for an hour, which often turns into 3. And, but they are good enough customers to warrant that. So I'm a little all over the place with my tastings. Do you agree? How do you?
Yeah, I think if they're your friends, you wanna bless them with a really good time, and you wanna have a nice time too. These are sometimes the only times I get out, so.
Yeah, same.
I'm like, but I run the tasting, it's done, and then it's like, okay, now let's finish the bottles together, maybe. Or sometimes I'm like, have a nice night, ladies, I gotta go. But I try to be too economical, 2 hours. I find the longer they go and the more wine you pour, the smaller the orders.
Yes.
And sometimes that's the intent, because it's just relationship building and there's reps there, and Cricket's kind of always taught me that too. Like, you kind of keep some up your sleeve. Maybe I have some extras in my car. If it's going really well and they're placing orders, like, oh, does anyone want to try the new Conte? Hello, if you see that they're like putting pen to paper, that's like a bonus. But yeah, I try to keep it to 2 hours. Unless I just love them and they're my new friends and I just want to fill my
There's
cup,
times that happen.
then I stay, and those are where the reps come from.
Yeah.
I agree.
That's a good point.
Same.
I love it.
Marley, can I add just one thing?
I don't even remember the questions. How long did it take? 2 hours. I'm more like Danielle, but here's the deal. I think y'all said it right. You have to know your crowd.
Yeah.
But I'm much more like Danielle. I'm not doing tastings with my friends. I mean, I am hosting like a sip and shop at my house November 4th. I will have all the gift sets out and people can come through, but I do have an end time. That one's less of a, I'm not gonna be educating as much, just more come taste the fall wines and see the holiday lineup, right? And so, yeah, I think the key is you have to close the tasting, like you have to close it. Even if it's gonna continue on,
Yeah,
like
well,
if you're with your friend, the key, you have to close it, or you're not gonna get the order forms.
Yeah.
It's just not gonna happen.
You have to ask for this, yeah.
I also think it's important that, especially if someone else is hosting, that you make it very clear that it's a tasting, so when they are inviting their friends, that their friends know it's a tasting. This is not, let's go to Susie's house and drink wine and get drunk.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Totally, it's
so
not a party.
if I'm doing a tasting Sunday at 3, I make it really clear that the tasting is starting promptly at 3:15, so people don't come rolling in at 4:15 and you basically are done, and they're like, oh, wait, I don't know anything. So making it very clear that this is a wine tasting, and you're gonna take them through these 4 or 5 wines, and it's, you know, it's from 3 to 4:30, but the tasting's starting at 3:15, and because otherwise you could end up being there for 3 hours.
Yeah. I think it's also just kind of really important, because everyone in this room is really a leader of some sort. You have to have your own boundaries. The business has to work for you and your family. I don't do tastings on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Wow. My team knows that, and my consultants know that I don't do that. My team also knows that I don't normally answer the phone at night, because I'm not in this business to alter my family life. The business has to work for me. So yeah, if someone asks to do a tasting on the weekend, I just tell them, I'm so sorry, the weekends are for my family, and I can do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday.
What times do you do them?
Typically in Austin, we'll do them like 5:30 or 6 till, 5:30 to 7 is typically what we'll advertise. I do one tasting, well, when I was doing tastings, when I was building my customer base, I would do one a week, because that was what my husband and I decided was gonna work for our family. So, it was not like a big deal. I would say, the one night I'm going is whatever night. Now for me, it's much more that one night would be when I'm on a Zoom call with my team. I'm not doing as many tastings, but that's because I built up that customer base, right? So, but I still am committed to the one night a week only, because that was really important for my family. Yes,
How many customers do you have, Marley?
over 600 customers.
Oh my God.
Hey, wait, the birthday girl has a question.
Oh, wait. Okay. When you'll be tasting, is it new people always, or do you find that like doing some kind of like VIP tasting and bringing some strong customers in to taste kind of like what the new vintage is or what a new wine is? Like I've had that idea, I've just never executed it. So I'm curious if like if all of your tastings are brand new people, or is it sometimes like, hey, I'm doing one this week at my house for special customers?
Yeah, so the ones that I do at my house, which before COVID I was doing about once every other month, I just call it a sip and shop, and I'm like, come in your athletic clothes and taste the new wine. That was existing customers, basically. I did do one where I only served Scout Circle wines, because a lot of those customers hadn't tasted them, so I did Scout Circle only. I'm gonna let them answer on the other tastings where you're doing it outside of your own home, because I just am not doing that many anymore, but they can answer for sure.
So I would say, Stephanie, that's like 2 different, if I don't have anything on the docket with the new customer, that's when I'll call in the VIP. That's sort of like a create your own tasting. And then I can ask one of them to say, hey, I'll either do that VIP tasting, and then I'll ask them at that tasting if they would be willing to host. Do you have more friends? Do you have another group of friends? I have a lot of customers that are like my parents' age, and I don't know how it happened, but they're like in their 70s. But I'm like, do you want to get together with the garden club and do a tasting? So my advice would be just to look around and see like what their interests are, and then see if they have a new pocket of friends. Even if they're an existing customer, they might have a new pocket of friends that they have not done anything for.
I agree.
Anyone have
Same.
a separate?
Yeah, same. Yeah.
Okay. We have another question back here.
Can I ask each one of you, how many of you have another like full-time job? Is this a side hustle or, I mean, in quotes, but
Maybe we'll raise hands. Who has another full-time job?
I manage our Airbnb business, so we have several Airbnbs, feels like a full-time job, and I take care of 2 kids. They're both full-time jobs, so, as far as like 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, no, but I do also manage other businesses on the side. So, but honestly, I only work like 5 hours a week with Scout and Cellar, and that's me selling a lot, so.
Anybody else?
I don't get paid for my other, part-time work, so no, I technically am not employed by another source.
I'm not, but I have teammates who are, and you know what, they're some of the best ones because they got a lot of idle time in front of a computer that I envy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good, yeah.
They sit in front of that desk and they're not being overlorded like by their bosses because it's all remote working and they're sliding in lots of work. So there's perks to that too.
Yeah, little bosses are on you all day long.
Uh-huh.
But you've done both.
I hadn't
Done it both ways.
And like I have a team member, Jay O'Brien, I mean, he's got 4 businesses.
Yeah.
And he's number 4, yeah, he was number 4 last year, so. I think it is pockets of time.
Yeah.
I don't work 40 hours a week, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, let me look at our questions to see what.
That would get in the way of my golf.
Okay, I like this one because we do think there's a shared mindset behind this. So my question is, how do you handle the haters? I handle all challenges with a wink and a smile, in case you haven't noticed. So I don't really take no. I just go, God, that's such a shame. So you're drinking wine that has chemicals and sugar and shit? Okay, well, I don't say it quite like that, but I just go, oh, really? And so, and then the haters that we said on our short little Zoom call, the ones who can't handle the whole MLM. You know, a lot of times I just ignore it and just kind of shift the conversation elsewhere, or depending on the situation, I may just flat out address it and look at them and say, hey, if you think this is a real pyramid thing, you're wrong. Because I'm here to tell you, people underneath me can be promoted and pass me, and I can pass people ahead of me. So it's really not what you think it is. And then they kind of just soften and go, huh. So I just do a little wink and smile and put them in their place.
The accent. I need an accent.
Bless your heart. You keep drinking that wine. Call me tomorrow when you feel like crap. Good
Let
call.
your hair fall out.
So I've gotten a lot of MLM pushback. There's always one person at the tasting that's always like, but how do you know it's organic? How do you, blah, blah. And you know, when I say this, we get it tested, and then sometimes you just have to turn and pivot to another person at the tasting, just to say like, I don't like your energy. This is not good. When I get a lot of pushback about the MLM, I just say, CEO of Apple. How many people does he have working under him? 40, like, that's a pyramid too, people.
And the people at the bottom are always gonna be at the bottom.
Right.
They don't have it.
They can't move. I know, we can all move.
Yeah.
Pyramids
So-
are illegal, I don't know if anybody knows.
Yes.
that. That's one of mom's groups, right? Oh, thank God pyramids are illegal. So talking about my wine again.
Yeah, it's good to just change them. And anyone who knows me knows that I'm like super passive and not loud and like wouldn't, you just sometimes have to confront the person and say, if you're not happy at this tasting, just have a snack and move on, because I'm trying to talk to people. I've had to say that, just have a snack and move on. Because clearly they're just not fine. Like, you just can't have that kind of energy, and then, I'll make a note that I'm not gonna host for that person again, or, and I've had hosts come up to me and say, I'm so sorry about her, I didn't know she was gonna say that.
Yeah, well, they can't control whatever, yeah.
So something that works for me really well with tastings is I actually talk about it before people even have an issue with it. So what I do is I say, I love that Sarah chose this business model, because if we just had this wine on the shelf, you wouldn't know the story. So they gave it to she gave it to the people to be able to explain it. So I start my tasting a lot like that now. So people don't even have a chance to even be like, they're like, it debunks the whole MLM right away. Just by saying like, so now I'm sharing it with you in an intimate setting, and they're like, oh, I love it. So it's just like, you can't even be a hater. I don't even pay attention. I don't even attract haters, I don't think. I mean, if I do, then I don't even notice them. I think you just have to work on yourself, and you have to believe in Scout and Cellar, and the belief in the why is every bit behind what you do, and people feel it when you come into their house.
Totally.
You know, if you're like, I do an MLM, well then don't do it, you know, like you have to have the confidence.
Yeah, I mean, everything is, I'll be really fast, same stuff with, I lean into, this is why this has to be this business model. It just only works this way, so I do that at all my tastings too. And I think that, you know, be the change you wanna see. It's a cheesy phrase, but the reason people don't like MLMs, they've been burned by an MLMer, so just don't be tactless. And everybody, when they find out or they realize it, they're like, but you're so different, you just don't seem salesy, but somehow I'm buying, I don't know what's happening, you know? You just be a classy person, you know, care about the person first, and I don't know, it works out.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Keeps a hey girl random text.
Yeah.
And like, I don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't do the hey girl random text either. Okay, how do you start your first, like your month? Like you're on day 1 of a new month, you're seeing zeros, which I don't look at them, but several of us do. I don't really look at my stuff.
It was a dark day on the first. You're like,
But so for Amanda, it's really hard. The first of the month is mentally challenging.
mentally challenging.
And so the question is like, how do you get going in the beginning of a month? I'm gonna let Amanda go first because it's her, like, she's told us it's a struggle for her.
Yeah, I've tried not to look at it, but I love refreshing that thing. Within the first of the month, you're like, oof, all that work. And I don't even know what I'm gonna make until the 8th. I don't even get paid until the 15th. We're like, oh, it's like a hard time. I gotta get myself going. I gotta get myself going. And I always wanna, I always wanna do better the next month. So I go through my Excel spreadsheet, and I think about, who I'm going to see, who I saw, and then who I'm going to see, and then I can make a plan of attack. Do I see a lot, am I gonna be at school volunteering a lot? Am I gonna, what kind of people am I gonna be around? What are we doing on the weekends? And then I can sort of plan and attack from there. But I have to go into the month with a plan, because otherwise I just get really overwhelmed, and I just have to talk myself into this will not stay 0 forever. Oh, I also look, it makes me happy, I also check my Scout Circle. Yeah. To see who's coming up. Because 8 a.m., none of that comes through, but by 11:30, you could have $700 in if you have 4 or 5 Scout Circles come in the first of the month. So that's another thing, if you do, I'm sure you all do this, but you just remind your team when you sign someone up for Scout Circle, try to get them, in the beginning of the month, because sometimes it's fun when something pops in on the 29th. You're like, ooh, look, I forgot about you. But it's nice to front load it, and you don't see all those zeros.
That's pretty much what I was gonna say too, just to get the circle memberships, and then you can pull the report in your back office to see what, for the month, how much in Scout's Circle is gonna come out. I think I also set goals. It's so important to have goals, right? Not to just go into the month yeah, we'll see what I sell. It's no, I'm gonna sell 5,000 this month, so then when I sell 4,500, I'm like, oh cool, I still had a goal for the month. It's really important to be intentional, I think.
You do what? I don't know what I was saying.
Yeah.
That's okay, we don't all have.
I don't check on the first. I'm not.
I try and give myself the day off, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, they're 30/31 days. Plenty of time.
Brooke gives her day off on the first. I like that.
I love that, that's so good.
I think the next 3 months, that's a really good idea.
If everyone can actually get Amanda's phone, and when you get to E, that also freaks her out. I'm always on E on my gas, and I just text her because she literally has a panic attack. So it's not just zeros in sales. I think she likes her glass full all the time, regardless of what it is.
So make sure she doesn't have an empty glass of wine this entire time.
Yeah, no empty glass of wine for you. So for me, I like a goal too. I loved, Trish thinks it's funny because I like this 10% more than we did last October. I think it's great. I love getting the email that showed me where I was, where I was and what I need to get to. And my goal is kind of ridiculous. And Trish was like, if I'd seen that number, it's 9,000 something, I'm just letting y'all know. And she goes, I just wouldn't have even gone for it. And I'm like, I'm totally going for it. Yeah. I mean, I love a goal. Love it. I don't know that it's even worse for Skywall, so really. But, so I do like a goal, but I don't check my numbers. And so I thought it was good, just the perspective, because to remind you as a leader, you're gonna have people on your team that are affected differently by the different stuff going on in the month, right? For me, I like live for end of month. The next 3 months I love that end of month excitement and people promoting and all that, you know, but someone else might not like that. And so that's, I think, key to remember as a leader. Okay, I think I have like maybe one more I wanted to ask. Oh, I like this one. What are the top 3 things you tell your team in order for them to market wine? Okay.
That's a good one.
My team doesn't like me, so this is not a good thing.
Yes!
I'm too direct, I've been told, so.
Well, you can wink and smile it. I mean,
I can't wink without it.
I sure can. It's easy. I would say minimum of 1 tasting a month, whether my team member hosts that tasting him or herself, or gets a tasting elsewhere, at least 1. And you know how I feel about texting. So I would say, however you want to do it, for me, obviously it's text, reach out to current customers. Some people on my team are new and still kind of growing into their own, if you will, with this business. So for them to have the pressure of reaching out to potentials every week or every month, that might kind of scare them a little bit, but to reach out to their current customer base, I mean, that's no brainer. So I'd say tastings, reaching out to your current customer base. And then one thing Stephanie and I do a lot is wherever we're invited, if we're invited to dinner, even if we're invited to a restaurant and not someone's home, I'm bringing the wine.
Absolutely.
Because at least I know it's different in Texas, but in North Carolina, we might be charged a $15 or $20 corkage fee at a restaurant, but we might not be charged anything. And there are a ton of restaurants in Charlotte that don't charge me a dime. And so if some friends go, hey, let's go to dinner, I'm always, depending on the number of people going to dinner, I'm gonna bring a bottle or 2, and then they're gonna end up tasting it, and if they're not already my customer, chances are by the end of the night, they're gonna be like, wow. Yeah, so it's an easy way, and certainly if you're invited to someone's home, whether it's, you know, at Danielle's age, it might be a bridal shower or a baby shower. At my age, it might be a 50th birthday party, but if you're invited somewhere, take it.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to take like a whole case for everybody there, but take a bottle or 2. I mean, y'all, I'm packing it in my suitcase. I'm going up to Annapolis to visit my son, and people are VRBOing, and I'm bringing my wine, and now I have new customers. So that's and it's real easy for new people on your team if they're new and kind of green. I mean, yeah, just if you can afford it, just always have a couple extra bottles around. So when you're invited somewhere, I mean, that's easy, because then they don't even have to do a big sales pitch or even host a tasting. They're at someone's home and they're just, everybody goes, oh, I've never seen that label. Well, of course you have.
That 4-bottle tasting set, I always make sure to get 1 of those, the 4-bottle tasting set, you know, for myself when I close the tasting. And that's my extra wine. That's my go-to wine. I also tell people, wear your shirts.
Yeah.
Talk about it. Wear your shirts, wear your pins. My son wears his shirt 3rd grade, like once every 2 weeks. And I haven't gotten a call from the principal yet, so like, I'm excited. It's my little PR kid. Yeah, I just talk about it. I mean, my daughter can give the pitch. My daughter can tell Sarah's story. So yeah, I tell my team. I don't know if they listen, but I tell my team, just, you know, do these little. Everyone on my team, they don't want a boss. They've made that very clear. They do not want a boss, and so I'll say, I'm not your boss. I'm just letting you know the sale is happening. They get, you know, because I'm very quiet, obviously. So, but I just talk about it. I just tell the team, talk about it. If you don't want to even have tastings, just wear your shirt. Talk about it. Talk about it in the grocery store line.
Okay. Normally, I think just meeting your consultant where they are too, though. Like, I like to, you know, I have people that this is their full-time thing. I have people that do it as a side gig, you know, just figuring out what they need and how many hours from the beginning. Like, how many hours are you willing to do? And let's, you know, keep it simple and figure out how much you can commit to it. And are you in this to build, or are you in this just to sell a little bit of wine, earn your wine? You know, figure out where they fall in that. And then also just being about Scout and Cellar. Like, we are Scout and Cellar, so like if they have any type of like insecurities about it, just learning more and becoming more passionate about the company. Wear your shirt, talk about it, talk about it to the teachers. My second grader wears Scout and Cellar shirt all the time, so he's like ready to help me with the tastings and stuff. So yeah, I mean, just like building a community around it,
So I won't do 3, I'll do 1. I just always say, don't let any new bottle go unshared. So that's my rule. You can have your favorites that you hoard for yourself, you drink in a closet, but when you open up a brand new bottle that you've never had, you're either sharing that with someone, like one friend, or you're having a tasting with it, or at least just capture a video of yourself talking about the tasting notes on your Instagram story.
That's
So they all do that. But most of them are pretty good about that. If you're cracking up something new, make sure it has a reach beyond you.
Oh, that's good. That's great. I love that. I wish I had my notebook right now to take notes.
I know, that was really good. I love that
so
one.
good.
I didn't mean to rhyme at the end, but I like
Great.
it. If you're cracking out something new, make sure it has a reach beyond you.
There you go. Love it. Good job. That was awesome. Yeah. I think one of the key things for me with my team is just telling them you gotta have fun. Because if you're not having fun, then why are you doing this? Right? And to me, that's having fun no matter what you're doing, at a tasting or talking to people, right? Like on the airplane, and then truly being the brand. Like you are living and breathing it. And if you don't have that passion, then I agree. You kind of have to learn some more about the company. What is it that drew them in, right? Why did they do this? So, yeah, that's good. Okay, we'll just open up to any questions you guys have. And you can ask a specific person or just general, whatever. And we'll let you guys have time to think. Yes?
I want to just say, Virginia, what you shared was very significant when you were talking about spiral in your binder, because I'm that person. My husband's 100% techie and I am paper-based, and I've tried to go to the other side. I've confused myself, I've frustrated myself, I've actually stymied my growth trying to do it, and I've swung back to doing what I know works for me. And I think it's good for us to have the permission, especially for us old timers. If that's what works, then let's let it work.
Yeah.
You know what? It's okay, guys. Stand up. Stand up if you like paper, okay? It is okay. This is a safe space, ladies.
Well, I'm so glad, because I kind of felt silly sharing that, but that's really what worked for me.
But it took courage to say that. I'm embarrassed to even admit that to my team, which a lot of them are younger than me. It's like running circles around me, but everybody's got to find their own thing.
I've referred to my team that doesn't like tech. I've talked about you, so we're sidelined.
Well,
but I say she's badass. She closes great tastings. This is still old school. This is still a face-to-face business. Even though I like to make assets, at the end of the day, you shake hands, you pour wine, you break bread, you close.
In community, we're in
person. So you're doing
and
fine.
Brooke has the permission to say that. We joined within a week apart. We couldn't be more opposites. But I'm almost 80,000.
Like
sales.
Mono Melody.
Ooh,
You
nice.
do you, boo. Never
Yep.
It's not one that's
Because I knew that Virginia, she had told me this, and I have the binder now. And I spend about 30 to 40 minutes in carpool every day. So I take my binder with me.
Yeah.
And I go through and I text 10 people as many times a week as I can.
Yeah, you have
So
to have
it
a
really
system that
does,
works for you.
to have that.
I need the tangible. I need it, yeah.
I want it.
I'm so
Do you
glad.
travel with it?
It
Shelley?
depends on what I'm doing.
Marley,
Yes.
I'm really excited to hear you talk, because I watch your numbers, even though
Yeah.
you may not.
I
I need to be you when I grow up. I recently quit corporate America to do this full time, so it's new and weird, and I'm like, you're ready to do something, I think you know what I'm doing. I write a to-do list like on paper, and I'm only 21, so. But I do both, right? I go both ways. I do.
Swing better.
Little things now to grow your business, but I have a very lackluster team. They all want to join. Sign me up. Cool. And I know how to lead. I feel like I do. Each individual person's different,
but I wanted to hear from you, your little nuggets. You have to pick one or two in the beginning to really get your team.
So Marley created a system.
How do we?
So we probably need to bubble that back up again.
Yeah.
And we did it last year.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, but I think the key thing, and you're probably doing it, it just takes time, is you have to lead by example. I send a newsletter out to my team every month on the first, well, between the 1st and 5th of the month, because it just depends on when I have the time. But I'm pulling data. I pull the top 20 sales, and people see the numbers. I'm pulling the top recruiters. I'm pulling the new team members' names, highlighting. I did that at the beginning.
I need to do
My name is at the top every month, because if they are gonna be expected to market wine, I've got to be marketing wine.
Absolutely.
I have to lead by example, and I know that there are other, I mean, there's an MD who completely is the opposite view of me, but that's the culture I have on my team, and that's why I think Caroline Smith is the #1, Jay O'Brien's #4. I mean, I have so many people that sell a lot of wine, because that was the example I was giving them. Interestingly enough, literally about a year ago, I did start changing my shift to growing my team more, and so my leaders are now doing that, right? But so you have to lead by example, and I think then it starts to happen, right? But you also have to know as a leader, there are always gonna be a lot of zeros on that report, and you cannot, I'm like, you can't let that bother you. It's just how it is in this business.
So would you say you focus definitely on the people who are like trickling and billing more so than the zeros? Or?
I only focus on those that want to work the business. The others I don't even. Yeah.
You can't water a dead plant.
No.
You could, but it would be
I work with the working, and I don't work with the others.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so when I started though, I did have a commitment to work it hard for 2 full years and see how I was doing. And so what that meant with my husband was we agreed I'd do a tasting every week. So I was doing 4 tastings a week, right? And after a year, he's like, this is so worth it. But that was, I treated it like a business, and so it became a full-time business for me.
I have a question about your newsletter. When you send out the top 10 and the sales, you're letting them see the actual numbers?
Numbers.
Do you have any people on your team that don't want their numbers shared?
Not a single one has said that. I've had several say, my goal is to be on that newsletter.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've actually had teammates have that goal and then now are showing up on the top 10 every month. And it took them months.
It takes a long time. I mean, it can take a long time, but that is a great goal.
This one, for example, is very competitive. So it helps when you have your more motivated teammates, when they see that and they know that they're, oh shoot, last month I was here. It's like an exciting thing, just like with the 10% incentive for us.
Yeah, yeah. When I started, Jacqueline Dearden said to me, I mean, she obviously, she did not know me very well, but she's like, this girl is competitive. So this is what she said to me my first month. There's this girl named Kathy, y'all know her, and she's on our team, right? She's been the top seller for like several months, and I need you to kick her ass. and you did. And I did. Several months. I mean, it was like, sure, I'm gonna do that, right? So I think that competitive nature, you have to like dig into that.
But you
Like
have to know who that is, though.
You don't, but typically it's gonna be your people that wanna market a lot of wine. They're typically pretty competitive. Like I would say all these people are competitive. The fact, last month, Jay O'Brien, he sold more than me or Caroline, and he was like, that was the best. He goes, I kicked the queens off their chairs. He loved it. Right? So why not? Let him. Yeah, so they like it. You know, Tracy?
Yeah, just a quick thing. I think I actually copied this from one of your Facebook posts. I think it was you, and just going back to the haters, and it says, wait, it's not weird when an influencer sells a product and makes a commission off your purchase, but it is weird when your friend does it. I think that might have been, I don't know, somebody in here probably, but I think in the world of social media influencers are so big right now, and that's a great thing to use for people that are on the hate train and hating your business and hating what you do and hating your posts.
Yeah.
If you kind of throw this at them.
Right.
And make a point that they're making commission, the people above them are making money, everybody's making money on certain levels. It's the same thing, our business model is the same thing, so it's
you guys too. It's something about influencers. You know, influencers are making money off of people, but you won't buy something from your friend.
Our good friends aren't even, like, we're talking about, except for Virginia, because her friends like her. But anyway.
Wink and a smile.
Wink and a smile. But yeah, I just think it's kind of.
I saw another one and it was like, Kim Kardashian doesn't need your money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're a good friend down the
Right.
street, right?
Yeah.
That's like paying for kids to go to camp, right?
Yeah.
So-
Well, and I'm sorry, to that point as well, like, there are so many subscription services out there, right? There's Butcher Box, there's Imperfect Foods, there's Stitch Fix and all of that stuff, right? And people, like, I subscribe to Butcher Box, I love it, and it's basically the same model, or the same concept as Cellar. It's farm to table, it's all organic, right? But they're not offering anybody an opportunity to actually build a business around it, and I can share a referral code and get $30 off my next order if Marley decides to get a Butcher Box subscription. So what Sarah has done is taken what a lot of people already are doing. They're already subscribing to these various services, but allowing people like us to actually build a business around it and also, you know, get paid for it.
Yeah. Shelley, you had one?
Yeah, just final point on the haters. Move on.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, yeah.
No hidden fact, there are millions of people in the US, if someone's hating on your business, okay, thank you so much, bye.
Get a snack.
Don't try to-
Get a snack.
Yeah, I would say, I definitely, especially like, if I'm at a tasting and people aren't buying, like, there's not my customer.
Yeah.
I'm totally fine, with it. There's so many people that will buy wine. Yeah, so, anybody have any more? We have 5 minutes. Yeah.
I just have a question about like follow-up, right? You have 600 customers, you guys all have a lot of sales. So what's your number one, number two follow-up method? Because you obviously have had success with that.
I would say good old phone call.
Yeah.
I love the idea of texting. By the time my 4-year-old thumbs get to it, I might as well have just called. And people are so much more willing to say yes on the phone. They hear your voice. And that's fine. I mean, I think text is great for the people that can do it, and there are plenty of people that I text, but I think if I really need sales, that's like the last 5 days of the month and I need sales, it's a phone call.
Can I ask a question, follow up from your, is it Ashley? No.
Amanda.
Amanda, sorry. When you call someone, like, this is pretty basic, but I still need to ask. When you call somebody, like, I've thought about, like, how sometimes people, you kinda have to know your demographic too. Sometimes people just don't respond to text. And other people, that's all they wanna do. They don't wanna pick up the phone. So if you, obviously that helps to know that, but then I get in my head about, like, well, what time of day, and are they at the office, are they gonna wanna answer the phone? Like, what do you pay attention to what time of day you call them, or you just call when it's needed for you?
Yeah, so if it's someone my age, I think about, are they getting their kids on the bus? Are they getting their kids off the bus? Are they going to an after-school sport? Other than that, I like midday, because there's some times where I'm home, and I'm like, oh my god, it's like noon. What am I doing? And so I'm like, ooh, if I have time, someone else probably has time. Like I said, I have a lot of customers that are my parents' age, so nothing past 7 p.m. Gotta get them right.
Do you, like, when you call them, I mean, can you give an example of some wording that you like to use?
Sure, I'll say, hi, I was just thinking about you because, so already, they're like, you were thinking about me? I'm like, because I was on the website and I saw, that our inventory, even if it's not low, just, hey, we're running out of, that Pinot Noir that you liked from Willamette Valley, so.
Willamette.
That went from California, that I can say. So I look at what they've purchased before, I go in, I know what they've done, and I think that really works. I also like to be very specific, using the word would instead of could. Would you like to buy a case of wine? Not could you buy a case of wine, anyone can. Would you like to buy a case of wine? And sometimes I'll be really transparent with them and say, listen, I'm trying to hit a goal, and I know you love that cab, so would you be willing to buy a case for me just to help me close out this month? And then they're the hero, like, oh, I'm helping her. And I'm like, but you're winning because you're getting mine. Win-win.
What if you get a voicemail? What do you say on the voicemail?
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Typically I sing. No, I just kidding. No, I just say, hi, it's Amanda. I was looking at the website and I was thinking about you. I know you love that Pinot. Give me a call back because I'd love to get you that case around before the end of the month.
So it's really direct, it's not like beating around the bush, it's not like, I know I'm having, I wanna call just to say hi, but then I'm gonna.
I gotta get to the tea box, baby. I gotta go.
Hey guys,
I gotta
this
get to the tea box.
option is your best and best, like if you're saying what time of day, doesn't matter.
Okay.
You, again, I'll always circle back to that, just leave your voice like, hey girl, oh my god, your deadline back for me is on, so call me, text me, I'm gonna send a link right now to you, just want to do it.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I voice text a lot. Anybody else? So the initial question was your follow-up, how you handle that.
So I always, I'm the person that makes sure that they're getting the wine to their door. I always make sure like, oh, hey, Shirley, did you get your wine today? Oh, that's awesome, and then I follow up, I put it in dough, I follow up 2 weeks later. And then with dough, what's really cool is you could, if you only want to follow up once a month, but then you can put it in there. You can do it every 2 weeks, you could do it every 3 weeks. But normally if they're a new customer, I always do every 2 weeks with the follow-up. Does that answer your question?
Oh, can you also add?
Starting from when they get their wine.
When you do that, this is another really basic question, but I have to ask it. When you follow up for that kind of thing, what's your favorite wording on like, how are you liking your new wine? Because I've thought about different ways to say it, and you gotta be careful because depending on how you say it, you open it up for like, did they even like it or not? Versus like assuming they loved it, which one do they love the most? But what's your favorite way to say that?
I just say which wine was your favorite out of that you ordered, have you shared it with any friends? And that's another like follow-up thing too. I'm like, ooh, which one of your friends tried it, and then that can also start a tasting right there. So yeah, you just start with like a positive question instead of like, are you enjoying your wine? You're just like, which one was your favorite out of all of them? If they ordered the same, it's like, you're loving that resident, I bet, just kind of it's all verbiage. It's been a positive verb, yeah.
There was a gal that did a thank you note 2 years ago, and I liked this verbiage. It was, I trust you're enjoying all your wines. Like, I trust everything got there safely and you've been enjoying them, and then you could throw in like, that Zin is gonna be really good with steak, I don't know. If anything wasn't to your liking, I would love to get you a credit, so give me some feedback or whatever, like that.
Where do you find the art of the tasting? Do you
The
Crazy
Cellar.
The art of the tasting?
And the Crazy Cellar, I did it like 3 years ago.
Just search it.
It's still a really good video.
I'll just answer, you asked what time, Caroline Smith does it at happy hour.
Yeah, that's what I like happy hour.
She does happy hour.
Happy hour.
Like 5:30, depending on what time zone the customer's in.
Oh,
And
okay.
I trust her.
Yeah, I'm big on, that's why I have my tastings like you, 5:30 to 7 right now.
While they're
I'm big on
drinking.
happy hour.
Like, and they're like, yes, I
And
need more.
people who are working, so they're coming
And Trish, she had one question.
I was
Okay.
just curious, how many of you write handwritten thank you notes or handwritten notes to any of, okay. So, do you do that, when do you write the thank you notes? To new customers or thank you for purchasing, any of that? Cause I was sending them right away when they bought the wine. And I've changed it to like 3 weeks later, so that maybe, cause that would spark the reorder. And I was wondering if many people are still doing handwritten notes.
Yeah.
I typically
I have a long list right
write a
now.
thank you note after they place their new order.
Yeah.
And then like with the holiday stuff, I pulled up, which you could pull it, I think you can pull the data out of the back cellar, but in Doe, I pulled up my top 20 customers, like who purchased the most. And I wrote them all a note and sent them in the mail I printed out a booklet with the holiday stuff on it, so they could literally like have it on their desk, was my thinking.
Printed it from the computer?
Yeah, I took it to FedEx and had to make,
okay.
those,
Make the real book.
the PDFs that like that girl did for us, I made a book out of it, and then I'm with a handwritten note. Like, holidays are coming so soon, here's some awesome options for you. I would love to help you this holiday season. And
You said for your top 20 customers.
my top 20. And then for my aunts and uncles and you know what I mean? Like people that, So it was my top, actually, so what I did is I pulled my top 20 customers in dough, and then any business that ordered from me last year, I sent to them also. So I think I mailed out 35. Yeah.
I do like 30 days after. I think 30 days is good. So like the people that buy from me this month, I'll send them a thank you card next month, and I put them on my list for the next month to send. I think that's a really good idea to keep it later. I used to send out a card right away, and I just feel like it's almost a follow-up to do it 30 days later.
I actually bought the Scout and Cellar notepads, or note cards, or whatever that I have, but I got bright pink envelopes.
Yeah.
Because I wanted people to make sure, that they opened it. Yeah. So I didn't want to hold it.
That's smart, Amanda.
That's smart.
Right, to copy you.
Bright pink. Yeah, or like bright yellow, just like something that they know it's gonna be a personal thing and not a bill or a solicitation.
Yeah, I like that.
That's a good idea.
My husband's in commercial insurance, and I watch him walk to the mailbox every day. He's writing letters every day. So I think that's just I know we're marketers, but I think that's a salesperson across the board thing. That's good. I love the hot pink.
I do too.
I do too.
And I think after, I'm gonna shift mine to later, not as right when they order. I think that's great. Okay, thank you, panel. Really appreciate it. We have a potty break while the next come in. Okay, potty break, panel 2, please come up.